Hi, welcome back to Better College. This is Auntie Lynn, and today I decided I was going to go right into that uh, GPA discussion. Now, there's going to be a couple of discussions on GPA because your GPA actually affects so many things in your college life. But right now, because one of my favorite things, of course, is financial literacy, I want to talk about how your GPA affects your financial aid. A lot of students and parents don't realize that your GPA can have an effect on your financial aid eligibility. So let's start right now, give you an example. There's a student, they start out as a freshman, and that first semester, they do great. They pull a 3.0, they're very happy, doing great in their classes. Now, the next term, they end up having some kind of personal issues, problems, maybe financial issues, family issues. Um, they can't adjust to their college life or their campus. These are all the kind of things that can really affect your academic success. So when that happens, if the student's GPA drops below, usually, and I'm not going to blanket every single college, but the vast majority of colleges, when you drop below a 2.0, right, um, that brings you into questionable territory. So what happens is when it comes to a point with a student where their cumulative GPA drops below the 2.0. And it also depends on their major because some majors, for example, like business or technology, engineering, they might have a higher level within that major. But for financial aid, that would be a 2.0. And if you drop below a 2.0 cumulative consistently, what happens is you'll get a warning. And the college either does it on a semester basis or on an annual basis, meaning you'll either get that warning in a semester or you'll get the warning at the end of the academic year. What happens is the college will warn you and say you're approaching territory of not making SAP or satisfactory academic progress. And when that happens, you have to speak with your academic advisor and say, okay, we need to make a plan. And then the student makes a plan with their academic advisor to make sure that in the coming semesters, the future semesters, the student can reach a certain GPA that allows their cumulative GPA to get back into satisfactory academic progress level. If the student does not see their academic advisor, or if the student does not reach that level in the coming semesters, where let's say they need to make 2.5 in the spring and they need to make a 2.8 in the fall, if they don't make those levels, they can lose financial aid eligibility, which means you pay cash. You're not eligible for federal aid, you're not eligible for federal loans. The only thing you may be able to get is a private loan. So this is the reason, or one of the reasons why I talk about how important GPA is. Now, I just want to get a little personal here. I don't want to talk too much about my college experience, but hopefully this will give you insight as to how important this is. When I went away to college, I was 17. And I did have adjustment problems. I was coming from a major city and I decided to go to a college that was in a rural area. That in itself was an adjustment. But I was also the very first child in my family to go away to college. That again was a huge adjustment because my family was not experienced in this. They didn't know how to handle this kind of thing. They didn't do it. My parents never went to college. So here I am experiencing something that nobody else experienced, and I really had transition problems. Now, my first semester freshman year, I did okay. I made it. And my second semester, I did okay. I got a job as a student advisor for the summer, and I was so excited because it was my first foray into helping people understand how to be successful in college. I was 18 and I was so happy that I got this job. Come the fall, I go back to school and I did not do well at all. My GPA went down to a 1.8. Now, my student advisor position started back up in January of that year during the school break, which means I was supposed to go back to school during the break earlier than everybody else to start my job again. I got to campus and I was immediately told, "Didn't you get the letter?" And I said, "What letter?" "You need to have a 2.0 to have this position. You can't work this term." I was devastated because I loved that job. But what happened was I had a 1.8. The requirements for that particular position was 2.0. And thank goodness the next semester I really made it back up on my own. But if I hadn't done that, I would have lost not only my financial aid, but my eligibility for a job on campus that I really loved. And as I said, luckily I made it, and I brought my GPA back up again. So I didn't lose my financial aid and I didn't ultimately lose my job. But these are the kind of things that can affect your academic life. The stress that really can happen to a student when they are affected by not having the financial aid or having it in a questionable territory or having a job on campus where you're making money. So financially, you have that expectation that you're going to have income, or you might even need that income for school. And your GPA is going to affect that job. These are the kind of things that you really need to think about when it comes to your GPA. So, all that said, let me give you some tips because these are the kind of things that can help you maintain satisfactory academic progress and they can help you maintain your finances while you're in school. Now, before I get into that, I just want to explain how the satisfactory academic progress is measured. First, it's measured in two ways. The first way is your actual GPA, right? So as I said, the measurement is mostly a 2.0. It can also change depending on your major, but for the most part, it's a 2.0, right? You need to maintain at least that number. The second measurement is called rate of progression. Here's how that works. If you are taking your classes and for some reason over the term, 2 terms, 3 terms, you're consistently taking F's and W's in your grades, that's going to affect how you are progressing toward your degree. Now, most colleges have 120 or 122 credits towards your bachelor's degree. If you consistently get F's and W's on your grade sheet, right? That's going to affect how you progress towards that 120 credits. Ultimately, what that's going to do is increase the number of credits and classes that you have to take in order to get a passing grade on 120 credits. So again, you have to maintain that grade point average and you have to maintain that rate of progression so that you're not taking 140 credits to graduate in a 120 credit program. I hope that makes sense because you want to be able to take 120 credits to graduate and not take 140 or 150 because you have so many F's and W's. So here's my tip on how to do that. First, the transition to college is no joke, people. A 17 or 18-year-old person that is having their first experience in college and their first experience in independence and autonomy really needs support. Now, that means family, that means friends. Those are the easy parts because most family and friends will support the student going to college. But that also means within the college. And unfortunately, because our students come from high school where everyone does for them, communicates to them, tells them when to go to class, tells them when they're missing assignments, because students come from high school in that environment and then go into a more autonomous and independent environment, some students can't transition very well. So they do need extra help. And they also need to rearrange their mindset a little bit. So it's a responsibility of not just the school or the community in the school, it's also a responsibility of the student. Firstly, the student needs to realize that this is going to be my responsibility when I transition. I have to be accountable for myself. I have to keep track of my homework. I have to keep track of my syllabus or the syllabi from various classes. I have to keep track of deadlines, hugely important, assignment deadlines, registration deadlines, drop ad deadlines. The calendar at your college will give you those deadlines, those administrative deadlines. Those are important. And believe it or not, can contribute or take away from your success, right? So get that calendar and know those dates. As a student, you have to reach out. If you're struggling in a class, the teacher, the professor is not going to come to you like in high school and say, "Come here, I want to talk to you." They're just going to say, "Hey, your grade is a D. Here you go." It's up to you to reach out for help. And a lot of times, the help you can get, of course, would be firstly your professor. Ask, what else can I do? Are there extra assignments? What am I missing here? Please help me out. Sometimes that works. In case it doesn't, reach out to your peers in that class. Reach out to them on message boards, on Blackboard. I know a lot of universities use Blackboard. Reach out to them, or if you have like a class group chat, reach out to them and say, "Can anybody help me with this? I'm stuck." Um, and you can also find free, and I absolutely mean this, people, it's free. Reach out to tutors at your college. There is free tutoring. I have never worked at a college where tutoring for students is charged. So go to your academic advisor and say, "Hey, I need a tutor. I'm not doing well in this class and obviously need help. And I really want to pass. I don't want my GPA to affect anything. And I don't want to have to lose important financial things like a job or financial aid. Help me get a tutor." You will get free tutoring at your college, right? So these are the kind of things you can do to really be accountable to yourself and really help yourself maintain those grades and maintain that GPA, maintain that rate of progression so that you ultimately don't have problems with your financial aid, getting a job, maintaining a campus job, any of those good things that really rely on a GPA. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say today. But again, there are other things regarding a GPA that I want to talk about in the future, um, specifically how it affects internships, so and getting jobs when you get out of college. So keep subscribing to the channel, keep watching these videos, and I'm hoping I can help every student or every parent that wants to come and watch these videos, and that's why I'm here. All right, you guys, have a great day and thanks for tuning in. And if you do have questions in the comments and you want to make a comment, please feel free. I'll be happy to read the comments. And if I can answer or give you a straight answer for a particular subject, I'll be happy to do that. But also, if I don't know the direct answer, I will be happy to give you resources where you can find the answer yourself. All right, guys, thanks a lot and have a great day.